All right, fam, A2D Radio Sports Hounds live on this dreary corona-filled day here in Mount Ephraim, New Jersey. I'm doing the show remote. I'm from Bucks County. Brad's down in Ventnor. But Brad, it's absolutely amazing that through thick and thin, the NFL has found a way to remain king of
and
the
to remain relevant.
It's unbelievable the marketing that they do, that every month something big goes down, whether there's corona or the Spanish flu, the Chinese flu, whatever pandemic is going on, the NFL remains supreme.
Yes, it does.
And then, Brad, we're going to get into all the moves that have happened, all the moving and shaking around the league. We'll talk about the NFC East. Both the Cowboys and Redskins get breaking news really in the past 24 hours. You got your Giants, you got my Eagles. We'll talk about who's on track to make the playoffs at this early sport of free agent. And then we're going to talk about how we're spending our time. I know I've been on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of classic baseball games, some Yankee games, some other games. So we'll get all that as well. But Brad, as always, the Sports Hounds are brought to you by Specialized Physical Therapy. Dr. Paul Vidal is our doctor. Make him yours too. Sports Hounds, Frank Vesby's producing somewhere on this earth remotely. You're Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Also brought to you by Ambuck Services, all your landscaping needs. Once this coronavirus gets out of Dodge, hit them up. They got you covered. Visit ambuckservices.com for all information on their services. Brad, let's get to the poll question, because the greatest quarterback of time is now on a new team. Tom Brady going from the New England Patriots to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Poll question of the night. Hashtag agree, hashtag disagree. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are legitimate Super Bowl contenders. Brad, what say you?
I disagree. Way too early for that. They've got a lot of work to do on their defense, Rob. You don't win just because Tom Brady's, especially at the age of 43. I'm not sure. He did not look real good last year in New England. Now, I don't know if it was his lack of weapons or it was him, but he just didn't look the same last year. I don't know. I mean, is there any gas left in the tank?
I mean, I think there is. He can still sling it around. He still has a strong arm. Tampa Bay, this was not a 4-12 team last year, Brad. This was a team that went 7-9 with a quarterback that threw 30 interceptions. It's a staggering amount of turnovers from the quarterback position. Really historic in terms of how much Jameis.
I understand that, Rob, but they gave up a lot of points, though. Their defense was legitimately bad.
But they did have a good run defense. So, you have the 14th draft. I mean, I don't know if they finished with the best run defense, but they had a very good run defense.
I'll tell you what, I just remembered the Giants, the first win that they had last season was against Tampa Bay.
And how many interceptions did Jameis Winston throw in that game? Do you remember?
At least 2.
I mean,
at least 2.
Throw how many interceptions next year? 12?
Yeah, maybe that. Maybe.
At max?
I'll give you that. What I'm concerned about with Tampa Bay is their defense. Their receivers are unbelievable. I mean, you start with Mike Evans, for God's sakes, and you can just keep going and going. I mean, that team is loaded. It's loaded with great receivers.
Yeah, and then I think that the Brady factor in terms of attracting other free agents to come to Tampa Bay is in full effect. I think guys are going to take less to stay there. Maybe they can attract some defenders. I do believe one of the worst pass defenses in the whole last year.
Yeah, that really was the problem. I mean, they gave up too many points, and that cannot continue.
But
if they're going to compete and they're going to try to win a Super Bowl, they got to stop somebody.
I can't disagree with that. But when you go from 30-plus turnovers from your quarterback position to maybe 12 to 15 turnovers from your quarterback position, when you have Godwin, you have Mike Evans, who's a stud, you have Cameron Brate and O.J. Howard. Tom Brady loves his tight ends. He's loved.
He does, and they've got a good one in OJ Howard
too. Cameron Braid is also a good tight end in my estimations.
Yeah, Mike Evans. There aren't if there's more than one or two receivers that are better than Mike Evans, you got to tell me who they are.
I think Mike Evans. I'm not sure Mike Evans is even the best receiver on Tampa Bay.
Oh, as far as a home run threat, he is. That guy's unbelievable. Listen, they've got a lot of good offensive players, and let's not forget, Jameis Winston threw 35 touchdown passes last year too. He did get the ball in the end zone. He was a turnover waiting to happen. And
how many games do you think Jameis Winston cost the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year? 2, 3?
He probably cost them 2 or 3.
Okay, I'm looking at a team.
But their defense won a lot of games too. Rob, they were scoring around 30. They scored almost 30 points a game last year. It's not that it wasn't. They were scoring enough points, and I hear you about too many. The turnovers were ridiculous, but still they scored a lot of points last year. They couldn't stop anybody, and that was a problem. And I just don't know, have they improved their defense that much? Because I don't see it, not at least not in free agency. If they can somehow make a bold move and maybe bring Clowney in, that might.
I don't know what Davion Clowney. Looks like the Titans, the Seahawks, your Giants. Maybe Tampa hops in on him. I have no idea where he's going to play because what he thinks he's valued is
not even close.
He's not a $20 million defender. He's not.
He'll be lucky. He'll be lucky.
He's maybe a $10 million defender.
Yeah, he'll be lucky to get 13 for a 1-year deal because he never plays a whole season. He's always hurt. He's inconsistent when he's on top of his game. He's a dominant player, but he's always been one of these guys that barely cares, and that's a problem. That's not. You don't want to sign a guy like that to a long-term contract. Guys like that will kill you.
Tommy A's checking in. What's up, boys? We're gonna get to everybody's comments once I get my bearings here with the remote broadcast. We promise you that. Need your comments tonight. Now, I do think the Buccaneers are contenders with Tom Brady.
Oh, I think they are. At this point, I still think the Saints are a better team than them.
I don't disagree with that because they maybe got the Saints maybe got the deal of free agency. Manuel Sanders, 2 years, $16 million. I don't know where Howie Roseman's. I don't know where the whole league is.
Him and Thomas. Jeez.
You have Thomas. Jared Cook's a pretty good tight end.
And their running back is second to none.
Alvin Kamara, he was plagued by injuries, kind of like your boy Barkley last year. But,
he's still a real good player.
He's going to have a big bounce back year. So I think the Saints are the favorites in the NFC South there. But
I have to say overwhelmingly yes.
But I
think Tampa Bay. Listen, Rob, I don't see Tampa Bay as a 13-3 team. Okay, I can see New Orleans being 13-3. I can see Tampa Bay maybe 11-5. Bless you.
Thank you.
11-5, 10-6, or if they play the extra game, which I don't know yet because I haven't seen a schedule yet where an extra game's been added. I just keep hearing there's going to be 17 games.
That's in 2021.
Okay, so that's next year. Okay, so this year it's still 16. Can you see Tampa Bay going 13-3?
13's a lot, but could they?
Yeah. Do you think New Orleans can do 13-3? Because I think they're pretty easily going to do 13-3.
Yeah, and plus they're gonna. I don't think Atlanta's anything. They're not.
Atlanta's no good anymore, and
they're not doing anything that's impressing me at all.
No, and Carolina is rebuilding.
Trade for Hayden Hurst for Baltimore. They Devontae Freeman's a great. Todd Gurley's a downgrade from Devontae Freeman, in my opinion. I'm just not sure. They lose their best corner, Desmond Trufant. He goes over to the Lions. I don't think they're doing anything. And then Crazy Nino, 4,200. Buccaneers are def contenders, but Patriots will have a chance too. You'll see. Yeah, I think the Patriots are going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL next year. I couldn't disagree with Crazy Nino 4,200 anymore. I mean, just the kick.
Let's wait and see what their team looks like before training camp, because we don't know who's going to be the quarterback of that team yet. I don't think it's going to be Hoyer. I know they signed Hoyer today, but he's not going to be the quarterback.
Who's that?
Hoyer.
I mean, no. I mean, they like this. I mean, I think this is part of the reason why Tom Brady left. I think that he saw a declining franchise in terms of
he saw the writing on the wall there. That team is finally starting to descend a little bit. I mean, they've been good for a really long time, you know?
Like, I mean, maybe they'll be better than the Jets, but
I don't know about that. They're definitely it's gonna be tough for them to be better than Buffalo. I think Buffalo wins that division.
Yeah, Buffalo. I mean, they make the big splash Buffalo makes the big splash for Diggs. I mean,
yeah. I mean, now you've got Diggs on one side, and who's the one on the other side that was really good on that?
John
team?
Brown.
Thank
Talking
you.
about Bills receivers.
Yes. Allen now has two good receivers to throw the ball to. I mean, they're going to be tough, and they got a real good defense. I just don't see New England beating them this year.
And McDermott's a great coach. Jeff Lohmeyer, 8-8 from Tampa this year, 11-5 for New Orleans. Not sure how Brady holds up behind that line. His arm strength isn't what it used to be either.
Okay, he's not wrong about the arm strength part, but he's still really accurate.
The intangibles.
Yeah, well, he's a winner. And
first off, if I was Tom Brady, I'd be on the Chargers, the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean,
yep. Well,
for whatever reason, he didn't want to go out west because of his family, and that's certainly his decision. But I mean, you get a tight end that he loves, Hunter Henry. Keenan Allen is a terrific receiver.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon's not going to be there, as you know.
No, but I mean, they were fine with Eckler last year. They were just so injured last year. They're still a really talented team.
Yeah, but Gordon signed with Denver today, did he not?
He's on the Broncos.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He signed with Denver, so he's gone from from Los Angeles. Excuse me.
There you go. But I mean, I guess I agree with the people that, you know, the Bucs are probably second in the division behind New Orleans. But I mean, Carolina's a complete mess. I do believe in Matt Rule down there, but I mean, they're going with Teddy Bridgewater. They have a disgruntled Cam Newton, which is not good at all. I mean, they traded their news of the day really was Kyle Allen getting traded to the Redskins with his old coach Ron Rivera for a 5th round selection. Kyle Allen, 5-7 as a starter last year. It looks like he's going to be the guy there in Washington while they groom Haskins, which good luck with that. I don't think Dwayne Haskins is a very good player at all. So I mean, I think they upgraded their position there.
I will say this about Haskins, okay? And he had 2 good games that I remember last year. He looked pretty good against the Eagles. I thought he played very well in that game. I thought he played very well against the Giants. So I thought he was getting better as he went along last year. So I wouldn't be so quick to give up on Haskins. You know, not yet. I mean, I thought he improved a lot from when he first came in and when the Giants destroyed the Redskins in the Meadowlands to the end of the season when the Giants won that game that's going to no doubt cost them Chase Young in the draft. Well, I thought Haskins was definitely improved. I mean, he absolutely picked up his game.
I wouldn't count on that because I don't know because you have bad franchises at the top of this draft this year.
I agree with you. I mean, my question is, are they going to trade with Miami so that Miami can, go and bring in Tua? You know, in the second.
I'm not a Tua guy at all.
I understand. I'm not either because I'm afraid he's going to get injured. But I could see Miami moving up in the draft from 5 to 2 because if they want to make sure that they get the quarterback they want. I mean, obviously they're not going to get Burrow because Burrow is going to go to Cincinnati. But if they want to go and they want to get Tua, if they move up and Washington moves down, you know, then they could get what they want.
I mean, it looks like Burrow's going to go to Cincinnati, but I mean, I wouldn't put anything past the Bengals. Bengals are a bad franchise. They've been a bad franchise. I was born in 1989. They've been a bad franchise for 95% of my life.
They did have a nice run making the playoffs all those times. They just couldn't get over the
Yeah,
hump.
it goes into the 5% that they actually look like
Yeah, okay.
they
Yeah,
knew what they were doing.
yeah, you weren't around for Kenny Anderson and
No, I was not.
no.
And then the Redskins, maybe 98% of my life, they've been a total train wreck. I don't know what they're going to do with the second pick. I have no idea.
I mean, they could trade down. I'm just thinking there's a couple of things I'm looking at. If they trade down, that means Detroit ends up getting Anderson if they want him, or they could trade down too and let somebody get a quarterback and get multiple picks. I mean, we know the Giants are in a position where if they don't get Anderson, I would absolutely trade down and try to get maybe 2 or 3 first-round picks this year. I mean, that's the move for them to make.
Well, they're certainly in an advantageous position because I kind of like Jones from afar. I don't know how you feel about Daniel
No,
Jones.
I like Jones. I thought he showed me a lot last year with a lousy offensive line and with a not healthy Saquon Barkley for most of the season. I thought he showed us a lot. I mean, what did he throw? 24, 25 touchdown passes last year in 10 games?
See, the problem with the Giants,
12 games, that's pretty good.
the Giants, they lack infrastructure. They lack
an offensive line and they lack a defensive line. I mean,
it's the infrastructure of a football team, which they
I agree with you. That the problem is Gettleman was not able to address the defensive line. And I mean, it's not really his fault. All the good guys got franchised, all the good defensive linemen. So he went and tried to
you can still get Clowney. And then we have a comment from Fighting Warrior here. Look, the elephant in the room in terms of available players is Yannick Ngakoue from the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, but he's not going anywhere this year.
He says he's not playing another down for the Jaguars.
Okay. I mean,
this is what he says. This is what he says, and he's killed the Jaguars' leverage. And what do I say? Whether it's basketball or football or baseball, when you're a franchise with a disgruntled star, it behooves you to move quickly. Because the longer you let him sit around and stew and be on the Instagram and the social media and the Twitter, just yapping away, that stock goes down. It goes way down.
You're not wrong about that. I mean, listen, we've
seen it with Anthony Davis. We've saw it with Allen Iverson in Philadelphia. I would cite numerous amounts. So if the Jaguars are going to make this guy happy and send him out of town, they need to do it quickly. And they've already waited too long because I don't know if they're going to get a 1. No, everybody knows the guy doesn't want to be there. So I don't know how you get a 1. I mean,
yeah, but guys like him, they'll get a 1. I do think that I think they'll definitely get that. I mean, if the Giants are serious about trying to improve their defensive line, that's the guy to go out and try to get. I mean, and listen, the Eagles. I think the Eagles have a very good defensive line. I mean, I don't think they should be wasting their time trading all their future assets for him when they should really be looking at trying to lock down that secondary, which I think they did a pretty good job with Slay. But I'd like to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I would put the Eagles. I mean, look, I love the Eagles, and I'm very critical of Howie Roseman because I think he's a big nerd. He's had one good offseason in his whole life, and it was in 2017 where every move where it turned out, best case scenario, and the Eagles won the Super Bowl. You had Patrick Robinson was a stud. Barnett looked like a player back then who I'm not sure about now. Just everyone. Jeffrey.
Everybody,
So this guy's had one good offseason.
It was a magical season for them. I mean,
I'm so sick of hearing Eagles fans tell me in March and May and June how much of a genius and how this guy is the best GM in the league. And then everyone wants to hang him from the Walt Whitman Bridge when November and December come around. So, I mean,
listen,
he's a genius in March. Yeah, but I mean, I don't win games in March.
Fan base is very mercurial. Let's be honest. They get themselves all wrapped up with.
I'm trying not to do that this year. I think the Eagles did I think Darius Slay was a money signing.
I thought. Listen, is he Champ Bailey? No, not anymore. But he's very good, and
he's a top 10 corner, and he's a top 5 corner in terms of how the Eagles are going to use him. He's a physical man corner, which is what Jim Schwartz needs out of his defense. And I'm very happy they turned the page on Malcolm Jenkins. Yeah, the Saints got a player, an old player in Jenkins, but Malcolm Jenkins is not an $8 million a year safety. He's just not.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to be very happy on Sunday afternoons when my Giants play them to not have to deal with him anymore, because he was a royal pain in the ass as far as the Giants were concerned. He was dominant against us. That's all I can say. And
he's probably one of the top 5 free agent signings that the Eagles have ever had. And he had a great 2017. He did great the year after the Super Bowl. But, I mean, I saw him declining last year. And I know that he's durable and he plays every snap and he's a locker room leader. But, the Eagles got guys that are going to be behind Carson. So we need to train.
I agree. Listen, they need to lock down their pass receiving game. And I do think that they'll get one of the big 3 as far as the receivers that are out.
You're talking draft now?
Yeah. No, weren't there 3 really good receivers?
Yeah.
And then there's a couple of other guys, so I can't remember their names.
Yeah.
But 3 really good ones. And I do think that the third one, there's 3 real top ones, and then
you have Judy and Ruggs from Alabama. You have CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma, who I'm not really that big of a fan of.
But I think he's going to get drafted first out of the receivers. Lamb.
You might be right about. I don't know how these.
That's what I've been reading up on it, and it just seems the general consensus amongst the mock drafters, if you will, is that they seem to all think that he's going to be the first receiver, and then Judy's going to be the second one. What's the other guy's name?
Henry Ruggs. He's also
Ruggs is the one everybody seems to think is going to end up in Philadelphia. So that would be he'd be good. He's fast.
I mean, I like Jefferson out of LSU a lot. I think he's
they're talking about him too.
I mean, I think he's the second best receiver I think him and Judy are the 2 best. They're my tier 1, no doubt about it, wide receiver prospects. And then Ruggs and Lamb would be on my second tier.
I think that you have a very good opportunity for the Eagles. I think they have an excellent opportunity to get one of those guys.
And I think that
even though they're 21st, I don't think four receivers are going to get drafted. Before they're up. There's too many really good linemen and offensive linemen and defensive players, which a lot of teams need right now. Not that many teams are in a position like the Eagles, where basically their offensive line is pretty good. Their defensive line is pretty good, and what they really need are some, the skill position type players. That's kind of what they need at this point.
All right, let's reset some of these comments here. I'm reading these directly off Facebook. Some of them are coming in through other and Frank's throwing up on the screen. We're gonna get to all of them. Greg agrees with the poll. He thinks Tampa is going to win the NFC South. So he disagrees with us. He sees I see Tampa as a wild card team. Greg sees them on as a division champion.
I don't think a 43. Listen, I know he's the GOAT, but I don't think a 43-year-old quarterback is going to be able to stop anybody defensively.
Okay, realistically though, like where does Tom Brady rank in the quarterback? Let's rank the quarterbacks right now.
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't think Tom Brady last year, if you go by last year's statistics, he was even one of the top 10.
Okay, but I think stats are for nerds, Brad.
Right, yeah. I understand that. But realistically, you've got
for him to get that team to surpass the Buffalo Bills. Good football team last year, Buffalo.
Very good football team.
They won the division last year. They were a division champion.
I realize that, but they did that more.
They didn't have much. They had Sony Michel, who didn't do a damn thing. You have a scat back in James White. Benjamin Watson's a 40-year-old tight end. N'Keal Harry was never on the field. You had
Sanu was their best offensive player, really. And I mean, he's okay. He's not bad, but
who's that?
Sanu.
No, I would say Edelman is a
Edelman's good too. But
Julian Edelman, he showed regression in his own right, leading the NFL in drops. Julian Edelman did last year.
Well, what I'm saying,
Brady, still the captain of that ship, was able to get that football team to the playoffs.
I think the defense more or less to the playoffs, to be honest with you, Rob.
And they're still going to have a good defense.
Yeah, the Patriots will still have a good defense. And listen, I don't think you can count out the Patriots. I as I said, I want to see who's the quarterback by the by.
There's no shot they make the playoffs. There's no shot they make the playoffs next year. The dynasty's dead there in New England.
Hopefully, but there's as I said,
there's not a damn thing anybody can say to me that I don't, unless they get, I don't know, if my Andrew Luck conspiracy theory comes true, I'm still not sure they make the playoffs. I really don't. You have no playmakers, you have no run game, you have an average offensive line, and you have a defense that they lost some guys.
Yes, they did. Van Noy to start. Right?
Miami, the spending spree down there in Miami, which I have mixed feelings about.
I don't think Miami is going to be ready to compete next year. I think you're going to have to give them a couple of years. It's hard to.
They're on the right track, though. No,
it's hard to do it. It's hard to do what the 49ers did. I mean, the 49ers really, they had an injured. They lost when they lost Garoppolo that year. It just like the whole team gave up. I don't see that though. I mean, with Tampa Bay, I think Tampa Bay is going to be a lot better, but they're not going to be better than the Saints, guys. Sorry, anybody that thinks so, I put my money up against you.
Jeff Loymeyer, I'm never counting out Breeze and his chemistry with that offense. Look, you have Emmanuel Sanders and Michael Thomas and Drew Brees at quarterback. I mean, that's Alvin Kamara in the backfield. Like
they're hard to stop, and they're so good.
Sounds like points.
Yeah, and Rob, they're so good at home, and their defense,
I just hate their guts.
Well, yeah, everybody does, but their defense is really good too. I mean, listen, Malcolm Jenkins. I think if he doesn't play too many minutes, I think if they spot him a little bit and don't overuse him, and he won't, and he's not worn out by the end of the game, I think he'll be very, very productive in New Orleans. I just think they've got to kind of do it like they do in the NBA with some of these older players. Use them on 50% of the downs. You don't have to use him every down. If you do that, he'll be able to conserve his energy and he'll be fresher at the end of the game.
Fighting Warrior checking in. Pat's always surprise people that come away in ways and make players no other teams can. Very good.
He's right. That's why it's hard to count them out.
Isn't that just a kick in the teeth to the Patriots locker room that you go from the GOAT, Tom Brady, to, Cam Newton?
They don't even have Cam Newton right now. They have.
I'm just going over their Jameis Winston. Dalton. You can
honestly, you know what? Out of all those guys, I would take Dalton. That's just me. But I think
Mike Rain.
Guys, I think Dalton's the youngest one out of all of them. He hasn't been injured, and I think he could still lead a football team that's got some players on it. They're going to need to have a really good draft, though. That's the bottom line.
Mike Rain not happy about the Jenkins move at all, and yeah, that was an unpopular opinion. But I give credit for Howie for growing some balls and making a tough choice and saving the team $5 million in cap space. Look, Howie said they needed to get younger and more athletic, and that's what they've done this offseason.
They had to. I mean, that was no secret. I've been saying that myself. And
you bring in Hargrave, who's a 27-year-old nose tackle.
There's a guy that's right in his peak. So, you know what? His next 2 years.
I mean, that's like a B- move in my opinion. Just because
he's an upgrade.
I don't understand why you need a $50 million defensive tackle rotation, because you have Malik Jackson who you're paying big money to. You have Cox who's making big money. You got Hargrave who's making big money, and you have Ridgeway who I like, who's kind of like a role guy who they brought back from last year.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, their goal line defense is going to be pretty vicious, huh?
I'm just skeptical with that sign.
Yeah, they're going to be tough to run against if they get you. If you're in a situation where you got to try to run the ball against,
they were good against the run last year without Malik Jackson and this guy Hargrave, who was in Pittsburgh. So, I mean,
they gave up a lot. I mean, maybe it's me, and I'm not trying to.
The only thing I question is having too many resources allocated to the defensive tackle position in terms of Philadelphia Eagles.
Okay. I can't disagree.
Ralphie checks into the chat. Ralphie, check him out on the Fix every Wednesday at 6. A great show. He been pointing out ad nauseum that this team has no linebackers. I don't know what their plan is at linebacker. Camus Cruz-Hill, who I wanted them to re-sign. I thought he was a promising player. He's part of that Miami spending spree. Nigel Bradham, who was a decent player. He's not on the team anymore. I mean, you have Nate Jerry. You have this Jatavius Brown, who played one game for the Chargers last year. I don't really expect much out of him.
Well, fighting Warriors thinking that you're exactly right. They need to focus on linebacker. I guess my question to you, Rob, is can any of these guys play linebacker?
What guys?
All these guys that you're talking about, all these defensive linemen. I mean, linebackers really at one time were kind of
cool because
defensive linemen, but now they're probably too big and too slow to be in the linebacker position.
No, I mean those guys aren't lying. You got to do something at linebacker. This is why I'm not gaga over this offseason. It's been a very good offseason.
Why would you want to get the kid from Jacksonville? I mean,
Yannick Ngakoue, because he's 24 and he's probably the best 4-3 defensive end in the entire league.
But you got all these guys already on your defensive line. How much money and resources can you put in the defensive line? The only thing I'm saying is
Yannick is an edge rusher. He's not a tackle.
All right. So, I realize that, but
I don't trust Derek Barnett to be a productive starter on a team that I have aspirations.
You got to clean out some of the inside guys. That seems
we're stuck with all of our inside guys. We have the inside guys are who we have. I mean
I know, I understand that, but there's a lot of teams in the league that they could use a guy on the inside, and if you're just looking to salary dump and maybe fortify your draft, that may not be a bad thing.
I mean, the Birds never make linebacker a priority. I mean,
listen, in today's throw the ball at all costs football.
I mean, the Eagles not valuing linebacker, that goes back to the early Andy Reid days, which I think they cost themselves a championship when they let Jeremiah Trotter walk after the 2000 season, let him go to Washington, and that 2001 Eagles defense that was just a middle linebacker short from being really special, and they let Trotter go to Washington, only to eventually get him back for the 2004 run, and then that's the year they finally got over the hump to go to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. I think there's some guys in the draft that I like. ESPN alert here. Nah, nothing big. You got some guys in the draft. Like, this is not – I don't see the Eagles as a Super Bowl contender right now.
No, not this year. I don't think – I mean, they could win –
not yet, anyway. I mean, I don't know what else they got up their sleeves. They need another splash move for me to be excited for this team to be a Super Bowl contender. I think they could win the East. I think they are the best.
I agree with that. The East is just not good this year. I mean, I think the Cowboys will be better just because it's addition by subtraction. You got the Clapper now is gone, and you brought in Mike McCarthy, and I think Mike McCarthy is a much, much better coach than Jason Garrett.
Well, did you catch the news that Travis Frederick retired at 29 today?
No, I didn't hear that.
Yes, he's retired from football. He had some weird stuff going on, like non-football injury medical problems. Remember, he had like that blood clotting disorder or
all right. Well, I mean, Luke Kuechly retired too, and because of all the concussions and everything. These guys, some of these football players, as you've said, Rob, and you've said it many times, these guys are gladiators, and there's only so much the human body can take.
But
You
I
know,
think
a
the
lot of
Giants,
people
I
sometimes
mean, we're moving into the NFC East now. Like, let's put the Redskins aside. The Redskins blow.
they're
They're not.
terrible. I agree.
They're gonna win what 6 games, maybe max,
6, probably more like 4 or 5. I think.
4 or 5, whatever. Well, I think Ron Rivera is a step in the right direction, so I'm giving him a bit of advantage. Mike Rain. Anyone think JP will return? I'm assuming he thinks it talks about talking about Jason Peters. I'd love to have him back, but he's got to be a backup. I mean, he's almost 40 years old, and I have a first round pick in Andre Dillard that I got to see what's going on with. I mean, I'm not in the business of putting first round picks on the bench for multiple years unless they're a quarterback. And even then, I mean, I'm not really that big of a fan. You pick someone in the first round, you got to play right away.
I mean, if you take a 1-year deal and with small money, you know, to sit on the bench and kind of just walk in and help out, yeah, that might work. But I think you're better off. I think you're better off drafting somebody. To be honest with you, there's supposed to be a lot of good offensive linemen in this draft, and there's supposed to be a lot of good defensive linemen in this draft. I think you're going to see a lot of teams and quarterbacks, obviously. So you're going to see a lot of teams going that direction. Which as far as you're concerned, that leaves you right in the hunt to get a top receiver.
Brady is below average these days. That's from Michael Jenkinson. I mean, I think he's above average. I think he's a top 10 quarterback still in this league. Is that?
I don't know about that.
No?
Yeah, I don't know.
Rank him out.
Who's
better?
Prove it to me. He didn't have.
Who's better than Tom Brady?
Right now, Mahomes.
Yeah. Okay. Agree.
Aaron Rodgers.
Agree.
Breeze.
Agree.
Let me think.
Carson Wentz better than Tom Brady right now?
I
don't know about that.
I
would say yes, just because Wentz is younger and
he's got a stronger arm.
So say Wentz, yes. So how many is that? That's Breeze, Rodgers, Mahomes. Russell Wilson's better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Carson's better. We just talked about Carson. That's 5. Like,
what about Cousins?
Kirk Cousins stinks. You know how I feel about Kirk Cousins.
I know, but listen, he played well last year, and they did win a playoff.
He had his career year. He stop.
Listen, that was still an impressive win.
Tom Brady is better than he's an okay quarterback. I'll give you that. I mean, Kirk Cousins is not better than fucking Tom Brady, dude.
At this point, though, you might be.
No, that's an unacceptable answer.
All right. Let me think of some other guys here.
I guess Dak Prescott. I put Dak Prescott over Tom Brady.
Right now, you have to.
Going into the 2020.
Yeah, season. Yes, I would agree with you.
So, like, who else? What am I missing? So we have Carson, Dak, Russell Wilson, Mahomes,
Lamar Jackson,
Rodgers.
Lamar Jackson from the Ravens.
I got you.
I
guess I would have to put just because of his youth and athleticism.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he basically willed the Ravens into having the best record in football. I understand he had an awful game.
But like,
but
I get it. But yeah, I mean, he's been to the playoffs. He's been a starter for 2 years, and he's been to the playoffs twice. So
I think
he's gonna be there. The Ravens always know what they're doing. They have a great front office. They're a great franchise. They have a great coach. You know, they have a great support system for Lamar. So Lamar's gonna get his playoff wins, especially when they're extending the playoffs to 7 teams per conference.
What about Watson?
Sean Watson over. I mean, I guess so. I mean, we haven't really talked about the incompetence of Bill O'Brien and how he's just destroying the Houston Texans.
I'll tell you what, Deshaun Watson really showed us something last year in the playoffs against Buffalo, though.
Yeah, they were down what?
Comeback. That was a
down quick. Okay, so we're at what? 8 quarterbacks, 1,000%. No, like I'm not ready to put a guy like Kyler Murray above Tom Brady.
No.
I'm not ready to put a guy like Daniel Jones or Josh Allen or Sam Darnold.
They're gonna have to show a lot more than what they've shown
So, I mean, Ben Roethlisberger's coming off an injury. I don't know if he's
I
been.
wouldn't put Ben Roethlisberger up there right now.
So, I mean,
who knows if
Ryan Tannehill is Ryan Tannehill. I know Ryan Tannehill beat Tom Brady in the playoffs last year, but I mean, is he?
But they were running the ball. I mean, let's be honest, okay, Kyle. I mean, Henry was the one that did all the work.
I agree, and Tannehill's stealing money with that $62 million guaranteed. Like that's a.
But Tannehill plays the game the way their coach wants to play it. Give the ball to Henry, and when you have to throw, he can throw an accurate short pass.
A fighting warrior. I believe the Birds need to focus on skilled position in the draft. We're gonna talk about some draft in a little, and some undrafted free agents. Get into the draft in a little bit, but I want to settle this. I want to settle this Tom Brady debate because you said he wasn't a top 10 quarterback.
I don't know that he is anymore.
But we're struggling to get the last few guys to.
Yeah, we are. We are. What about Ryan on Atlanta?
Ryan, I mean,
he's pretty good. He's good. It's not his fault that team hasn't been good the last couple of years.
I don't know. I think I'm taking Brady in 2020 over Matt Ryan.
It's debatable. I mean, if you want to, all right. I mean, if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, okay.
But
what about Matthew Stafford?
I mean, he's an okay player. I think I would take the intangibles of Tom Brady over a Matthew Stafford. Actually, I'm a big Matthew Stafford guy. I mean, I think he's just been completely wasted in Detroit. Bill Middlebrook, Nelson is only getting $1 million, laughing my ass off. How smart are the Raiders because of the minimum they get compensation? Yeah, I mean, Nelson Aguilar stinks. I hate Nelson Aguilar. He's not a good guy in the locker room. He's not a good football player on the field. He's constantly injured. He can't catch. A good riddance on Nelson Aguilar being off my football team.
He had one good year, the Super Bowl year.
I couldn't be happier that he's not on the team. Couldn't be happier. Him and Alshon Jeffrey were cancers. They caused all that stuff with Josina Anderson about Carson not being a good leader, which was total bullshit. And this is why you have to flush.
All I can say about Alshon is catch the damn ball and shut up.
Well, I mean, hopefully they have till June to cut him. But, I mean, it's going to cost them dead cap money. But I don't care. I don't see how you can bring back Alshon Jeffrey. So, getting back to the Tom Brady, is he a top 10 quarterback in this league?
Yeah, I guess he is because we're barking up all these trees here, and it seems like we really nobody in the AFC East, AFC Central. We're going to give Jackson. Roethlisberger, we can't really go with him. Obviously, Cincinnati doesn't have a quarterback right now, and Baker Mayfield, as far as I'm concerned, is garbage. So, then you go to.
We'll see how he rebounds, but he's certainly not better than Tom Brady.
No.
I mean, Ralphie checks in. He feels like the Brady thing is going to flop. I mean, look, he signed a 2-year deal. I mean, Tom Brady's in better shape now than he was at, 24, 25. He's just got that personal trainer, and he looks terrific. And
he's really not beat up. He hasn't, he's that's one thing. He's only been injured seriously once. That was 2009 or 2010.
He tore his ACL that 1 year.
Yeah. The year Castle.
And they somehow missed the playoffs after winning 11 games. I don't even know how that's possible.
Oh,
but it happened.
It's that year. But I mean, all right. So let's say he's still a top 10 quarterback then. I mean,
Tom Arnone checks in. He's always like Stafford, but I mean,
Tom. So why? But it's.
You think Stafford going into next year after Stafford broke his back? Kind of had the Carson vertebrae injury. Like, who would you rather have going into 2020? Would you rather have Matthew Stafford or Tom Brady? I'm going with Tom Brady. I'm going with those intangibles. I'm going with that leadership. I'm going with the command he respects in that locker room. I think Tampa is going to be – I think they're a 10-11 win team. And how cool is it going to be to watch Brady and Breeze go at it?
That's going to be awesome.
2 times a year the next 2 years. Hopefully they both.
That'll be a lot of fun. We really haven't been able to see that matchup very often, so that'll be a lot of fun.
There's a lot of games. A lot of Tampa plays.
There'll be some fun matchups in that division because I mean you got Matt Ryan against Tom Brady, which is going to be an interesting.
The Bucks also have Green Bay and Kansas City on their schedule next year as well,
and the Giants.
I mean, sorry, Daniel Jones and Tom Brady doesn't get my
but I mean
Brady versus Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady versus Drew Brees.
He's going to play. He's going to play in Giant Stadium or not Giant Stadium, whatever the heck you call that stadium now.
MetLife
Stadium.
Monstrosity.
Yeah, you mean the trash can, the big trash can.
Mike Parker checks in. Tom Brady is cerebral, and he makes his teammates better. They are absolutely a contender right now with TB12 and that group of receivers. I couldn't agree with Mike more. All right.
Stop the other team.
Let's transition a little bit. Bill O'Brien with the Houston Texans. This guy is just—he's
terrible.
It's malpractice what he's doing.
What a stupid trade! How do you trade DeAndre Hopkins?
And like, I've had just total brain dead idiots try and tell me. I think it's one of the worst trades I've ever seen in professional sports. To be honest,
that is really stupid. I mean,
DeAndre Hopkins might go down as a top 10 receiver ever.
He is that good.
Unbelievable. You have a great young quarterback. You have a great receiver for his safety blanket. It's DeAndre Hopkins. What is Deshaun Watson working with? They've never given him a running game. You know, they've always kind of been like a defensive team, but J.J. Watt is not what he used to be. I don't know what they're doing.
He's also always getting hurt. There's no more Clowney. So, I mean,
the past 2 off seasons, they've traded Davion Clowney and DeAndre Hopkins, and they haven't even gotten a first-round pick in return in either trade.
Clueless.
And they traded their first-round pick to Miami this year to get Tunzel, which he's an okay player, but
yeah, but come on, he's not.
I don't know what they're doing.
The first round.
Like, you tell me that you trade DeAndre Hopkins so you can pay Watson, but you know, instead of paying Hopkins 15 next year, you're paying David Johnson 10. That's $1 million.
David Johnson is
not even good anymore.
He's not good anymore.
So
he is the running back.
Parker checks in. J.J. Watt's getting older. J.J. Watt, talk about always being on IR. He's making $15 million a year.
David Johnson's always hurt, though. I mean, he's always
David Johnson is a rotational $10 million running back. So you save $5 million on your cap. You still don't have a first-round pick. You don't have Jadeveon Clowney on your team. You don't have DeAndre Hopkins on your team. Instead, you have David Johnson and the 57th pick overall. Like, what are you doing? Are you telling me that the $5 million you saved having DeAndre Hopkins off your payroll and David on your payroll is going to help you sign Deshaun Watson to a long?
Not get a first round pick for DeAndre Hopkins.
If I'm fucking Deshaun Watson, I'm hitting up Bill O'Brien on my cell phone and said, "Get me the hell out! You're a moron. You have no idea how to build a football team." And I don't know where their owner is in all this because he refuses to hire a GM, and he's letting Bill O'Brien, who's not even a good coach, be the coach and the GM. Where
he does anymore?
Where's your owner? What is going on down there? They're 1,000%.
They're clueless right now.
They're not going back to the playoffs.
No, they're a rudderless ship.
The Titans are way better. The Colts are way better. I mean, the Jaguars, they don't know what they're talking about.
Well, every time they get a good player, they get rid of
So
him.
maybe they'll be better than the Jaguars. But I look around their roster. The only player worth anything is Deshaun Watson. Like, what is your plan to surround him? So now you don't have any receivers for Watson. You still don't have a running game despite trading for a $10 million running back. You have no first-round pick, and you're still short on offensive line. Yet somehow this kid is Superman every season and gets this football team to the playoffs.
Unless we get a shock, a complete shock out of Johnson, that team's they're screwed.
But I mean, I read an article online on about like where free agents next year are going to land. Guess who the betting favorite was to land Deshaun Watson in free agency?
Who?
The New England Patriots.
Oh God.
But I mean, that's what's going to happen. Why would you sign a long-term deal with?
Or Andrew Luck will come back next year. After taking a couple of years
Houston
off.
is descending into the abyss. Hey, Wayne, I totally agree with you. I mean, I'm canceling season ticket orders if I'm a Houston Texans fan. I'm out. I'm out on the Texans from Houston. Totally out.
It's pretty tough with what's going on.
And then you look at what the Cardinals get for their young quarterback and Kyler Murray. They're sitting pretty. I think the Cardinals win the West next year, Brad.
No, that might be too much. I mean, that's a tough ask. If they were in the East, maybe, but in the West, that West is it's really tough.
Mike Parker, Patriots are going to kick the tires on Cam Newton. Yeah, Cam Newton blows, Mike.
Cam Newton just
touch Cam Newton with a 10-foot pole.
He can't. He's just not accurate anymore.
I mean, the fact that
too beat up.
I mean, the fact that he's getting surpassed by a quarterback who's never really started in this league should tell you all you need to know about Cam Newton. I mean, I was out on Cam Newton when he didn't dive on that ball in the Super Bowl. He's a gutless coward who's incapable of leading men in terms of being in the locker room and in the huddle every Sunday.
He's just one of those knuckleheads. That's the problem. It's one of those.
He's a loser.
Yeah,
Cam Newton is a loser.
Yeah, well, I can't see him ending up with. I can't see him with the Patriots. That's not.
Belichick will strangle him.
No, I think
Belichick will strangle him, just like he strangled Jameis Winston.
Yeah, no, I think the guy that goes there is going to end up being Dalton. I do. I think Dalton's the kind of guy. I think he's a pretty smart quarterback, and I think he's coachable. And I think that he'll do basically anything Belichick wants, and he can throw a short pass. I mean, he had nobody last year.
Who's that? I'm sorry,
Dalton. Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
I mean, you put him in the right program, he'd be okay. I really do. I mean, compared to what's out there right now, what's available, I mean, Rivers is already signed with the Colts. Well, I don't know if Rivers really has much left in the tank.
I'm surprised that New England didn't get in the Nick Foles business. I would wonder if they kicked the tires on.
They may have, but he was expensive too.
I mean, they have a $30 million a year gap in their payroll. I mean, they're not paying any.
No, Brady wasn't making $30 million last year.
I mean, I get that. I mean
that was part of the problem. I don't think they could really. I don't think that they could pay him.
I find it hard to believe that they don't have cap.
You know what? You'd have to ask somebody like Bill Middlebrook or one of those guys that are Patriot fans up there that know about their cap, because I don't know. That would be something. I mean, they seem to let a lot of guys go, and Van Noy was one that really surprised me.
Yeah, I mean, they kept McCourty.
Yeah, Gavin Keller wants.
Now the Patriots. I don't think the Patriots and Texans are out, and I think that it's going to pave the way for some new teams to get in the playoffs in terms of the AFC.
Yeah. Gavin Keller wants to know if he thinks that the Eagles are going to trade up in the draft. I think they could if there's a specific player, a receiver, that they want, that they can snag without giving up too much draft capital. Yes.
I hear everyone
never
trade up and they want to get an impact player, and I'm all for it. But I don't trust Howie Roseman to identify big impact players. I'd rather pick at 21 and maybe move up in the second and third round later in the draft and get my hands on some fallers that way. I want to take Justin Jefferson.
If he's got his eye on somebody, I mean, if there's somebody that he absolutely has to have, he might do it. I mean, I could see it. I could see that. If he wants to go, say, 21 to 16 or something, that's not going to cost you too much in draft capital. I mean, you're not going to go up into the top 10. That'll cost you half your.
I think that's what you're going to have to do to get Judy.
Yeah, but the other guys, you may not have to do that.
But I don't want. CeeDee Lamb doesn't excite me. He just doesn't. I understand he's 6'2", and I understand he's super fast, but can he run? Can he get open off press man? I mean, he played in a conference, a spread.
He played in a no defense. He played
in a conference that doesn't play any defense.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And
Judy played Judy played with Alabama and every game was like playing against a pro team. I totally get that.
Ruggs is a burner, but I mean, I like Jefferson better than Ruggs. Ruggs would be number 3. Jefferson would be my number 2, and Judy would be my number 1. To get Judy, you have to get above San Francisco, who's picking 13th, above Vegas, who's 14th, above the Jets, who are 11. So you got to get Cleveland's 10, Jacksonville's 9, Arizona's 8. Arizona's not taking a receiver because they have Fitzgerald, Christian Kirk, and now DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, they don't. No, they're not going to do that.
The Browns,
the Jets would be the fly in the ointment because the Jets need a receiver. I mean, unless they sign Anderson, which they still haven't done yet.
Oh, I want Robbie Anderson. I want Robbie Anderson, Philadelphia, and I want him to stay on the open market for as long as possible.
Well, every day that he stays on, the price goes down,
Right. This isn't baseball where guys are going to get big money right before the season starts. It's not. That's not how the NFL works, especially with this legal tampering period.
Once the shelves are cleaned out, the only thing that's left are bargain basement players.
I mean, there's a couple players
guys who want too much money, like Clowney, or like Clowney is a very good example.
Really, the only guy I'm surprised hasn't been signed yet is Logan Ryan.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised by that too. But he took a lot of money too. So, I mean, it all comes down to money, and that's where you're going right now. These guys are going to have to get it through their heads that they can't get the kind of money that they're looking for. They're going to have to probably go on a 1-year show me contract, and maybe get a little extra in a 1-year deal, but they're probably only going to get a 1-year deal, and they're going to, once they come to terms with that, they'll get signed. But until they do, Clowney's a classic example. Clowney's not getting $20 million. If he's waiting for a $20 million contract, he's not going to play this year. Nobody's going to give him that.
All right, let's go around the league. AFC, NFC. Let's see where each team is and how we see the standings potentially shape.
Let's go to the NFC East because we basically been through the Eagles.
I give their offseason a B so far. I think that they're the favorites to win the East right now.
I would agree with that. I like what the Cowboys have done as far as their coach. I think he's definitely a much better coach than Garrett, and he will hold those guys accountable. He's not going to be sitting there clapping when they screw up. He's going to be taping people to the bench, and guys like Cooper. He just signed that nice contract, but you know what? He better show up because if he hasn't shown up,
I think the Amari Cooper contract's the worst contract of the offseason so far.
5 years and $100 million for that.
That's terrible. That's a terrible deal. I don't think he's nowhere near the top 10 receivers in the league.
No, and you know what? He's one of those guys that, when it gets real physical out there, he kind of doesn't really want to.
Yeah, like in Week 16 last year against the Eagles. Look, the Eagles secondary wasn't anything special last year. It was really kind of.
He just looked like he didn't want to play last year.
He got hit in the mouth, and he took his ball and he went home. I mean, it's 4th and 8 with 3 minutes to go. He's checking his ass out the game. He doesn't even want to be in there. He's scared. I mean, I can name 15, 20 receivers I'd rather have instead of Amari Cooper. Good rid. I mean, they're idiots for not signing Byron Jones back and signing him.
I would agree. I would agree. I'm just glad the Giants stayed away from him. That was not a guy that they needed to get. I saw a lot of people saying that they should target him.
Jones is a great cover corner. He's physical. He can tackle. He can play multiple positions. I mean,
I know he is. He's a lockdown. He is a lockdown. He's a lockdown.
You're saying you're glad the Giants didn't.
I'm saying I'm glad the Giants didn't get Cooper.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, not Jones.
Only two teams that were willing to.
But I'm not upset with Bradbury. I think he's definitely an upgrade over Jenkins.
I think the Giants have had a terrific offseason so far.
Yeah, the only thing they weren't able to do was get a defensive lineman. But I mean, really, who are you going to get that? I mean, I think the guys that were signed are not really game changers. I mean, they needed to fix their linebacking situation. They needed guys who could tackle. They got
Blake Martinez from Green Bay. I thought that was a terrific signing.
I thought that was too. I think both those linebackers they got from Green Bay were good signings. I like the Cam Fleming signing. I think he's going to be an improvement over Remmers.
I thought James Bradbury was one of the best contracts in all of free agency.
No, I like him. They're not getting murdered by that contract. That's what's good about it.
But the thing Gettleman did great with Bradbury is that he's got him for 3 years, not 5.
Right. Well, he knows
it's 2 less years and half the guarantees that Jones got. I don't think he's half as good. I don't think the gap between Byron Jones and James Bradbury is all that great. Like I think they're pretty close.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jones is a little better, but
I agree with you.
I thought it was a good.
You got Bradbury for half the money, and he's not half as good a player.
No, that's absolutely true.
And then I don't know who else maybe you can fill me in on who else the Giants signed, but Blake Martinez
is really good. I like him. I mean, he's solid. He's a tackler.
Did they sign a lineman?
No.
So I mean, you're sitting.
They didn't sign a line. They're really. I mean, they wanted to get a lineman. They re-signed Leonard Williams, which I still to the franchise tag.
Well, they can rescind the franchise tag.
Yeah, he's refusing to sign the franchise tag. I think Gettleman is going to pull a Josh Norman on him and say "F you" and wait for maybe Clowney to stop dreaming and try to get him at a bargain price. Because if Leonard Williams is thinking he's going to get $80-90 million, he's smoking crack. It's not going to happen.
I mean, I think that's the most logical place for Clowney. Would you sign Clowney to the Giants for 1 year, $15 million?
Yeah, of course I would.
Okay.
I think that's what I'm kind of hoping the Giants can do. I'm hoping that they rescind the deal with Williams, and then they go and they sign him, and they tell Williams to get lost.
You got to get Jacksonville's 9th by swapping our 21st and whatever they want. They have 2 first-round, 2 ones, and need picks to address a lot of other areas. I booked it on the show the other night that's the trade partner, and we have a relationship with them. So Bill wants the Eagles. I think Bill's a Eagles fan.
Is he an Eagles fan or a Patriot fan?
I thought he was a Patriots fan. I know he was a Red Sox fan.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the cool thing to do, to be all over the map in terms of your sports fandom. And me and Bill Middlebrook have certainly had our run-ins on social media. But, look, yeah, I think you got to get in the top 10 if you want Judy.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I'm not willing to pay that price when Justin Jefferson's just as good and I can get him at 21, maybe even later than 21. I might be able to move back and get.
I wouldn't do that, but if you move up, I don't think you have necessarily to get a quality receiver. I think you can go up to like maybe 15 or 16 and get yourself a quality receiver. I think that's where you can go.
Yeah, but I'd rather if I'm.
You won't have to. You want to trade your whole draft if you want.
I'm not moving up for anyone besides Judy.
I'm sorry.
I'm not trading up for anyone besides Judy.
Okay.
That's my opinion, because I don't think the gap between Jefferson and Judy is that big at all.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why people aren't putting Justin Jefferson in that top tier of receivers. It just doesn't make sense to me. He had 111 catches in the SEC last year and also operated in a pro-style passing attack under Joe Brady, who's now the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers. So 111 catches against the best competition in college football in a pro-style set. I mean, where do I sign up? When I had the receivers that I had last year, I mean, I can get that at 21 without giving up anything, and then I can just move up in the second round, move up in the third round to get some of these followers that slip through the cracks. Where do I sign up for that?
Hey, Chrome was asking me before if I wanted Alshon. No,
nobody wants Alshon. Nobody wants Alshon. Alshon Jeffrey is going to be released. Howie Roseman, I'm sure he's been doing his due diligence and trying to add Alshon Jeffrey to trade packages. You know what teams do when they hear Alshon Jeffrey's name in trade packages? They hang up the phone. Alshon Jeffrey is not going anywhere. If he leaves this team, it's going to be because he's cut, not because he's traded. He has no trade value because Howie Roseman.
Nobody's going to pay him. Nobody's going to pay that contract.
Wayne Miller, jump ahead of the Cowboys. You know they want payback from when we stole Goddard. I mean, Cowboys aren't in the market. It's pick 17 for a wide receiver. They're
okay with their receivers. That's not an issue for them.
Didn't they sign because they lost Randall Cobb?
They signed. Well, I mean, obviously they signed Cooper. I can't remember who else they signed.
They signed.
They've got receivers though. They got receivers. That one guy that destroyed the Giants last year, whose name escapes me.
They have Michael Gallup, who's really good.
Yeah, that's the one. He's the one. Okay, so Bill Middlebrook has answered our question, Rob. He lived in Philadelphia and Massachusetts. So okay. So it's very odd that you would root for the Flyers and the Celtics. That's
not a mix.
That's a really bizarre. I mean, rooting for a Philadelphia team and rooting for Philadelphia teams and Boston teams.
Like that douchebag Kyle we used to do a show with. It was
managed to do that.
Rooted for the Yankees. Like who are you? Like
yeah, why would you root for three?
Like
root for the Yankees?
So no, the Cowboys haven't signed a receiver.
Yeah, but they have receivers though.
They signed Clinton Dix, Gerald McCoy, Amari Cooper, Dak Prescott. They got to figure out, and they re-signed Sean Lee. I mean, not a terrible offseason, but getting back to going around the league. So, are we in agreement that it's Eagles, Cowboys, Giants, Redskins, or do you think the Giants can jump up and finish second? Or do you think the Giants are going to win the whole thing?
Nah, not yet. The Giants are going to have to prove it to me. I think they're still third. I think that this year they could. See, the problem is their schedule is so rough.
Well, the East is getting no favors because they're playing the AFC North, which is you're playing Pittsburgh and Baltimore.
That's brutal, and then they have to play the NFC West, and I mean that's
the best division in all of football, if you ask me.
Yeah, and listen, for the Giants, the Bears are not going to be easy, and Tampa Bay is not going to be easy. Those are the two swing games. So I mean,
boy, that's brutal. That's a brutal swing.
Yeah,
because the Bucs finished last year. No, I'm sorry, the Bucs finished third. So you play a third place schedule.
Yeah, we play the third place.
Finished third.
Yeah,
the Eagles got the Packers and the Saints as their two.
I see the Giants going 6-10 this year. I hate
so I'm more optimistic about the Giants than you are.
I just don't. I don't see where the wins are. Where are the wins going to come from? Maybe 2 against Washington.
Yeah, but I see a team that can really
beat the Bears. They're going to have.
I'm not scared of the Bears if I'm the Giants.
Huh?
I'm not scared of the Bears if I'm the Giants.
They have Nick Foles now.
Is he going to start?
Oh, he's definitely going to start. Are you kidding? Against Trubisky? Are you kidding me? I'm putting Foles in there all day over Trubisky. Trubisky's terrible.
I mean, they really have receivers. I mean, they have Khalil Mack. They have good defense.
Real good defense. Giants played them last year in Chicago, and they lost by 3. I think they kicked the field goal at the end of the game to beat
I
them.
mean, I'm not scared of the Bears. I mean, Tampa Bay's a
Okay.
tough draw. That's a tough third place swing game draw.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they go 1-1 in those games. They go 2-4 in the East. Okay, and then when they go out west, maybe they win one game. Maybe they go
See,
1-3.
this is what I try and explain to the Eagles fans last year. The
Yeah,
Eagles,
that's 4. That's
Eagles
4. And
weren't
then maybe they go 2-2 in the AFC. In the AFC Central. I mean, that's 6-10, Rob.
well, the Browns hired Stefanski. Anyone's
I could see them beating the Browns. I could see them beating the Browns, and I could see them beating the Bengals. That's what I'm saying. 2-2 is realistic. 2-2 against them. Maybe.
well, like, this is what I try and explain to Eagles fans. Like, the Eagles were trash last year. They were completely terrible. They really caught a great break in playing the AFC East, which was a terrible division, and what was the other one we played? The NFC North, which wasn't a very good division. And they didn't even beat they didn't even beat the Lions.
No, they lost to the Lions. They lost to the Dolphins. I mean, and the Cowboys lost to the Jets. So
I think the only reason they made the players is because their schedule was backloaded with garbage.
Those divisions were they were terrible.
Right, and it's going to be a big-time test for this team to get the 10 wins as constructed right now, in my opinion. Now, you make a splash at the draft. Maybe, I mean, you get Yannick in here somehow. I mean, you get a receiver. There's still receivers out there that can help this team.
Yeah, well, and this is what I'm saying about the Giants too, Rob. I mean, you look at the schedule and you have to be realistic. Unless we're shocked by what's going on, 6-10 looks like it's going to be this year.
I wouldn't be surprised if.
I mean, they could be the Giants could be 100 times better football team this year than they were last year, and still go 6-10.
Because I don't think the Bengals were a 1-15 team last year. I think their talent was better than that, but you are what your record says you are.
Yes, it is, and they have a lot of injuries too, though. They'll be better.
Tom Arnone checks in. Giants are a year away to me. Wouldn't surprise me at all if the Giants finish second, though. I think you're short selling them a little bit.
Jeez, I don't know. Again, their defense is just their defense.
Well, I mean, Travis Frederick retiring out of nowhere for the Cowboys. That's a big loss. He's one of the best defensive linemen, offensive linemen, in the whole league. And like centers, they don't grow on trees, It's
but if we're not going to get a defensive lineman who can make an impact, and we're going to let quarterbacks sit back there all day, Dak Prescott's going to tear us apart just like he did last year with Gallup and with Cooper. I mean, that's
question.
Just last year.
All right, Bill Middlebrook wants to know OBJ worth a first-round pick if you only have one first-round pick. If I can't get up there for Judy, and I'm sitting there at 21,
he absolutely is. I mean, is he worth a first-round pick? Yeah, he's worth a first-round pick. Are you kidding me? I mean, listen,
I'm assuming he's talking about the Eagles' perspective, but I would love to have Odell Beckham here.
I would be the 21st pick in the draft for Odell Beckham. Are you kidding me?
Between the Eagles and Cowboys, I mean.
You put him on the Eagles?
Yeah.
I mean, I would. That would be.
He's just a pain in the ass.
That would be he is a pain in the ass, but that would be a nightmare for a Giant fan to see him twice a season playing for you guys.
I'm putting that. I'm not against it, Bill, but I'm putting that on the back burner until I see if I can get up there for Judy at a reasonable price or get my guy Jefferson.
Yeah, the only problem with Odell is that it's not just trading for him; it's the salary too. You got to pay for.
Yeah, but I don't give a shit about my salary cap if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles and Howard Roseman, it's a year-to-year league, and I'll worry about next year's cap.
Okay. No, you're asking me. You're asking me. I mean, there's no debating his talent. I don't know what happened in Cleveland because I didn't watch Cleveland all that much last year, to be quite honest with you.
You didn't miss much. They fucking stunk.
Yeah, I know he did, but I think Baker. I think after a year with Baker, he's probably begging to have Eli back.
Yeah, but Baker can't be worse than he was last year, can he? He's got to get better.
Does he?
Stefanski got a career year out of stinky Kirk Cousins, so I think he can do well with a guy with actual talent in Baker Mayfield. Because I do think Baker Mayfield is a talented guy.
Small though.
I think his brain gets in the way of him reaching his talent, and maybe last year was a wake up call because everyone, including me, really Cleveland up. I think everyone except you, Brad, you had that nailed. Them stinking. Everyone was Cleveland up last year, and I think
I didn't like them at all last year. I think they'll be a little bit better this year, but they still don't have a good offensive line, and I'm not sure about their defense either.
And then we talked about the South. We were
talking about
Saints and the Bucks both. So are we one playoff team out of the East?
Yeah, one playoff team out of the East.
Okay, I think we're both in agreement that Tampa Bay and New Orleans make the playoffs. Is that correct?
No, I don't think Tampa Bay is going to make the playoffs.
You don't think? I have Tampa in.
No, I think Green Bay and Minnesota are once again going to make the playoffs.
I mean, I think that because you go out west, and are those teams going to beat each other up, or are those teams, or is one team
going to happen? Let me ask you this: what's going to happen with the Rams? What is going on with that team?
I mean, I'm not a golf guy. I'm just not a golf guy.
No, and they don't have, Gurley's gone.
Yeah, but Gurley was shot. He just has no knee. Scotty Giggs, P.J. Walker, going to make a splash. I mean, P.J. Walker, he played under Matt Rule at Temple, and then he made a name for himself in the XFL, and he's going to be the Carolina Panthers backup.
I don't think so. He's not.
They're paying Teddy Bridgewater $20 million a year to be.
Teddy Bridgewater's the quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater's finally going to get his chance to play. That's.
I'm rooting for him, and I'm rooting for Matt Rule, but I think they got some work to do there in Carolina. I don't see them making the playoffs next year.
No, you know what? Bridgewater is pretty good.
But I like Bridgewater. I do.
Listen, when he was with the Saints, okay, he won in Seattle. That's not an easy thing to do.
But getting to
I realize they have a good team and they have good players, but still, he still won. He still, as a backup quarterback, still won in Seattle, which tells me he's not really a backup, but he's got the ability to be a pretty good starter. So let's see what he does.
I'm assuming that you have 3 NFC West teams making the playoffs.
2. Oh, that's right. There's an extra one this year. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm confused with these new rules. I don't know when there's 7 playoff teams.
Well, yeah, is that this year with
like
playoff team?
Do I have 7 NFC playoff teams this year, or do I have 6?
I thought it was 6 this year. I thought the 7th was next year. But if I'm wrong, okay.
Let's go with 6. Because I've been consumed with draft stuff and free agency stuff. I don't know what the rules even are next year. I'm Googling it right now.
I would go with 6, and I would say if it's 6, it's going to be Seattle winning the division this year and San Francisco coming in second. I think they fit.
Doesn't San Francisco don't they have to regress?
That's what I think. I don't think they can put it together like that twice.
I
think just the way they lost that game to Kansas City, that was a tough way to lose.
They were kind of like the Eagles in 2017. Like they just had everything go right. The stars kind of aligned, but they ended up not winning. And I don't know if that's
but you know what? The fourth quarter, I just wonder if that fourth quarter, Kansas City made the blueprint on how to beat the 49ers. Now, whether or not the other teams in the league can follow that blueprint to score on their defense, that I don't know. But, they show the world how to do it. Now, if the world can do it, I have a feeling the 49ers, they'll make the playoffs next year, but I think they're going to be struggling to do it. I think Seattle is going to come back as a team possessed. They're only going to get better. I mean, they did a hell of a job rebuilding last year. And to be able to basically rebuild their team and be as good as they were last year, that was.
You have Wilson. You have Russell Wilson.
I know that, but the rest of the team is pretty darn good too.
If I'm the Seattle Seahawks, if I'm a fan of their team, I'm never out of a game with Russell Wilson.
No, and but look at their defense. How much better it got last year. Their defense really picked it up last year.
And Pete Carroll. I mean,
Pete Carroll, as much abuse as he takes because he screwed up that one Super Bowl, he's still a real good coach.
There's just something about his face that I just don't.
Yeah, he has the kind of face that you want to punch him in the mouth. I agree with you, but
he's just like a smug little California douchebag. He got USC and all that trouble. Then he bolted to the NFL, and then USC is on probation.
He was in New England for a while, and he was pretty successful with New England when he was a coach there. They made the playoffs every year.
Yeah, then he got canned for
cans, and then Parcells came in and took him to the Super Bowl.
So, I love Arizona. I think Kyler Murray is going to make a jump, and I think Arizona wins the West. I think Seattle makes the playoffs. I'm gonna pick Tampa Bay in the South. I am, and I think the Saints are going to be a double-digit win wild card team. And I like the Eagles in the East, so that's what. And then
you forgot Minnesota and Green Bay, that division.
Green Bay. I got a one team. So I have Arizona. Again, it's subject to change based on the draft, but I have Eagles, Green Bay, Tampa, New Orleans, Seattle, Arizona.
Problem with Green Bay, they lost a lot of guys to free agency.
Yeah, but I have Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
I have Aaron Rodgers, and I have a draft to figure stuff out. I mean,
yeah.
Who do I want to pick in the division? Do I want to pick Kirk Cousins or do I want to pick Aaron Rodgers?
Oh,
Detroit, Chicago are just afterthoughts to me.
So, I agree.
I have the Niners out. I have the Rams out. I have the Bears out. The Lions out. The Falcons. So it's
tough to make these picks this early though because free agency isn't over. You've got your second wave is going to come right before June 1st. Because there are a lot of guys that they're cut before June 1st. They get to save a lot of money in the salary cap. So
just dropping by. Give KC this year and next year's second round picks and this year's third round pick for defense tackle Chris Jones. I mean, we talked at the top of the show how I think the Eagles have way too many resources wrapped up in the defensive tackle position. Chris Jones is a great player, but I'm not giving up all those picks for a defensive tackle.
But Kansas City's not going to do that.
I mean, they've yet to work out a long-term extension for Chris Jones.
But he's signed for this year.
If he signs his franchise tender,
okay. Well,
whatsoever.
Most of these guys usually do.
So for the most part, I think you might have. What do you have? You have Minnesota in and Tampa Bay out.
Yes.
The only thing we have different.
Potential. I have Seattle winning. I have Seattle winning the West.
And what you have San Francisco making?
San Francisco coming in second. I have Minnesota winning the division. I have the Eagles winning their division, and I guess Green Bay is going to be the other wild card team.
All right, what about AFC? I mean,
AFC, Buffalo.
I like Buffalo as well.
Baltimore.
The
Colts. And
I think the Steelers are also going to make it out of the North.
I don't know with the Steelers.
I mean, you're getting Roethlisberger back. I mean,
that's true, and they'll have a whole year of what's his name? That guy Kelly, the safety that they got from
Minka Fitzpatrick.
I'm sorry, Fitzpatrick. They're gonna have a whole year of him, and he was.
They just really didn't do anything in free agency, and they don't have any draft picks because they traded with Miami and they traded up for that linebacker Devin Bush a few years ago out of Michigan. But I mean, if you're putting Roethlisberger in there instead of Devlin Hodges, I mean, I think you're really upgrading.
Yeah, if he still has the problem is he had a pretty serious injury last year. I would really like to watch him throw the ball and see how he's throwing the ball this year. Before I put them in the playoffs.
I mean, that's fair.
I kind of like to see that. I love the Colts. I think the Titans are going to make the playoffs also. I like the Chiefs, obviously. How can you not? The Chargers.
No quarterback. I love the Chargers roster, but they don't have a quarterback. You can't go to the playoffs with no quarterback. With Tyrod Taylor.
No.
Back to Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
I don't see that
the Chargers
at all. I mean, are you drafting Herbert at 6 and starting him right away?
No, but you know what, the Broncos.
Herbert, but I don't know.
The Broncos could be trouble this year if they can score enough.
I mean, look, Kansas City's the favorite. Kansas City is going to be the favorite in that division.
I'm just thinking
Patrick Mahomes suits up.
If any other team in that division can make the playoffs. Because right now I still need another wild card team. I like the Bills.
Okay, so we're in agreement with the Bills. We're in agreement with the Chiefs. We're in agreement with the Ravens.
I like the Colts, and I like the Titans as one wild card. And I'm trying to figure out who the second wild card. You know what? I'm going to give it to New England. I'm going to give Bill Belichick the benefit of the doubt.
You're going to give Belichick. I have them out. I have Houston out. I mean, the AFC is really wide open. You might have hit something with Denver there.
I mean, I like Melvin. I like that signing. I really do. Melvin Gordon is going to make a big difference for them.
But I mean, you got to.
He's the best offensive player they've had in a while, especially as a running back. They haven't had a running back like him.
They seem to always figure it out on defense too.
Yeah, but who's going to be their quarterback this year?
But Drew Lock played well at the end of last year, but I mean, he's unproven.
Yeah, but
I thought they were going to jump up and sign Brady. That struck me as an Elway thing to do.
It is an Elway thing to do, but I think Elway must really like Drew Lock.
I think he does, and I think that. Look, I think there's a lot. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put the Steelers and Denver are my wild card teams. I think 16 games with Ryan Tannehill. I think that's trouble. I don't think he's that good. I just think he kind of caught lightning in a bottle, and I think that.
Yeah, but their defense is really good, and you know what? They can. They're going to run the ball. They're going to be a 60s. They're going to be your 60s version of a football team. They're going to run the ball. They're going to play good defense, and Tannehill will throw just enough passes to win the game for you. Yeah, he'll throw enough. Let's put it this way: he'll complete enough passes, and he'll throw enough passes so that he won't lose the game for you. Kind of like Garoppolo. I mean, if Tannehill has to throw the ball 40, 50 times, they're going to lose. But if he's throwing the ball 15 to 25 times in the game, Tennessee's going to be.
I think the AFC kind of stinks.
Yeah, other than it's you have you have one excellent team, you have two very good teams, and then the rest of the league. I mean,
like I like Buffalo as much as the next guy, but I don't see them winning the AFC. They're not a legitimate Super Bowl contender.
They're pretty good defensively, and you know what? They have improved their offense.
I think all due respect to Josh Allen, I need to see a lot more that he can win playoff games. I mean, they Texans spotted him a 17-point lead, I think it was last year, and Josh.
That also was his first playoff game. It was on the road.
He had 17-point lead, and you can't.
But their defense also
I don't think
their defense also didn't help them either.
Houston was all that great.
No, but their defense didn't help either. I'm talking about Buffalo's defense didn't help by letting them come back.
Like, can the Jets? But like the Jets, Miami, like I don't see them as playoff teams.
I have no faith in the Jets because I can't. That coach is just.
Yeah, I agree. I think Flores down in Miami is a better coach than Ace in New York.
Yeah, that coach is a freak. I mean, I'm sorry. I just, and I'm not one of those people who don't like the Jets. I like the Jets, but
I just don't care about them. They're never a threat. They always suck. Like,
yeah, they do. Whatever.
They're a terrible franchise. It's embarrassing, really. I mean,
It's going on a long time with that team, a long time. They're the Knicks of the NBA of the NFL.
I agree on the Colts. I like the Rivers factor. The Chargers, I mean, I don't know. I'm having a tough time nailing down my potential AFC wildcard teams.
Yeah, I just have a tough time with getting the sixth one. I think the five are pretty easy. The sixth one, I mean, I gotta go. Have to go with New England because I think Belichick will find whoever it is he's looking for, and somehow he's gonna will that team back into the playoffs. But I don't think they're gonna go anywhere.
I mean, Tommy Arnone checks back in. He thinks Baltimore's loaded. I agree with you. I mean, I think Baltimore are significant favorites to win that North Division, but
Baltimore got exposed a little bit by the Titans.
I don't know what happened with them against the Titans.
They couldn't stop the run. Derrick Henry just ran right through them the whole game.
I mean, I think that's the lock of all locks on next NFL season. Baltimore Ravens will win a playoff game. I would put green money on that.
Oh yeah. Oh, right. Without a doubt. I think they may. I think it's very possible that they will have the best record in the AFC.
And then I really like Pittsburgh. I like Pittsburgh to jump back into the playoffs. Tomlin, Big Ben back. Yeah,
what is he? 38 now.
Pretty good defense. I mean, but we both like the Colts in the South.
I know, but the difference is that he's got to have to play 8 games in Heinz Field, and that's a tough field to play in. I mean, Drew
he's been playing there for years. It's not like a big mystery. I mean,
I understand, but Phil Rivers gets
to hear the guy's healthy. I see the Pittsburgh Steelers playing into January.
Phil Rivers gets to play inside 8 games. I mean, Ben. I
totally agree with your assessment of the AFC South. I think the Colts are the best team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just with Pittsburgh. I'm really concerned about Ben Roethlisberger. I really am. I don't know what to expect out of him this year. He doesn't have.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm giving Tomlin and Big Ben too much credit. Maybe it's time for the Broncos. I like the Broncos too.
The Broncos, I mean, yeah, Melvin Gordon, I think, is going to make a big difference to their offense. Now the Chargers, they now have a legit running game with him as your first running back. You can run the ball. When you're first and goal inside the 5-yard line, you got the guy who can run the ball into the end zone. You got a running back who can also catch the ball and run it into the end zone. I mean,
Melvin Gordon is spectacular.
Yeah, he's a very good player. I mean,
you got him for a great price. I mean, talk about getting screwed by holding out. He should have just showed up and been the good soldier, and he probably would have gotten paid by the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, his problem is
$16 million a year.
The only thing that seems to stop Melvin Gordon is injuries. I mean, as far as playing, he's always been a really, really top flight running back. Very underrated, but very, very good.
And then, the Chargers might have, if you exclude quarterback, like the Chargers might have the best roster in the league.
Yeah, but I don't know if Tyrod Taylor can get them into the playoffs.
Their defense, they have Chris Harris now. Their defense is.
I know that. I mean,
Bosa, Melvin Ingram, Derwin James.
Listen, one thing though, Tyrod Taylor did get the Bills in the playoffs one year.
He did.
They had a real good defense that year, but he did. Didn't he get them into?
I just don't see the Bills as a legitimate. Like Bills are like the Eagles of the AFC. Yeah, I think they're going to win their division, but I'm not necessarily there yet when it comes to winning a championship. I'm just not.
Yeah, I'd like to see one more big time player on their team.
Yeah,
It could be one of
each
those
team is a splash move away from being a contender.
those running backs are real good.
In Buffalo,
You know, those running backs are really
Thompson, how do you rate the Eagles? Look, I think the Eagles need to make another splash move to be a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I think they're the favorites in the NFC East. I don't think that's saying very much. I don't think it's a very good division. But I think the Eagles are a division champion. I don't think they're in any way, shape, or form a contender to win a Super Bowl without another splash move. I just don't see it right now. And they've definitely have pieces that I'm excited about, but just one too many weaknesses here on March 23rd for me to talk about the Eagles in terms of winning the Super Bowl. And I think that they're mirror images of each other, the Bills and the Eagles. They both need one more splash move.
The Eagles quarterback is better than the Bills quarterback.
Yeah, and I think the Eagles are more equipped to win a Super Bowl than the Bills, but I don't see either of them as legitimate contender. And that's because of Carson.
Yeah, the one thing the Bills do have is a very, very good defense, though.
Like if the Eagles go up in the top 10 and get Judy, who I think is the best receiver in the draft, that'll go a long way to improving their Super Bowl odds, in my opinion.
I agree.
I mean, I look at the betting favorites, and the Eagles are like the 6th favorite to win the Super Bowl. I mean, I just don't see that at all. That's just me, though.
6th favorite?
That's correct, according to Park Casino.
Okay, I mean,
I don't agree. I don't agree.
A lot of people are betting on them, I guess. You know,
But, I mean,
there's a lot of Philadelphia money in there that thinks that they're going to win. Obviously,
I guess.
I mean, that's got to be it, right?
All right. So, Brad, what have you been doing with your time as we get in the last few minutes of the show? Wayne Anthony Thomas, another corner, wide receiver. I think edge rusher, linebacker, corner, receiver are still major needs for this Philadelphia Eagles football team.
Agreed, and I think
major needs.
The New York Giants need to bolster their offensive line, and they need that one pass rusher on defense.
But what have you been doing with your time during quarantine? I mean, I know you've been.
I've been working. Today is it. We closed up shop today, so we're done for a while. All the cars are parked in the garage now. So
I work at UPS, so I've been deemed essential personnel by the federal government. So
okay. Well, we tried to get away with it, and we got shut down today. So I'll be taking a brief hiatus from work.
You know what I've been watching? I've been a lot of classic games on YouTube. I've been watching.
Oh yeah, no, I've been watching a lot of classic. You know what? NHL Network. They've been showing a lot of.
They've been doing a great job. You're more of a hockey guy than me. Know what I've been watching, Brad? You'll appreciate this as a Yankees fan. I'm going to watch all 7 games, but I've watched the first 2 games so far of the 2001 World Series.
That was a great World Series.
That was my favorite World. I mean.
That was an unfortunate
2008 has a special place in my heart just because the Phillies won, but that wasn't like an epic World Series. It was only 5 games. I don't think Tampa Bay was.
No, you were much the best.
Cinderella story.
Much the best that year.
But I mean,
I've been watching a lot of NHL Network games. They've had the NHL finals from the 70s and 80s. It was quite cool to watch. I got to watch some of those Canadian teams, which is why I posted on Saturday.
I saw that.
Who everybody thought was the best team between the 70s Canadians, the early 80s Islanders, and then the late 80s Edmonton Oilers. Surprisingly, nobody even considered the Islanders, which really kind of – I mean, I know everybody hates the Islanders, but boy, that team was really good. And to get no respect like that, it's shocking.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at
they won 4 in a row.
I know, but those Oilers teams in the late 80s with Gretzky.
Oh yeah, no, God, they were really good. I mean,
Gretzky was just ahead of his time.
six. Listen, they had 6 Hall of Famers on that team.
And the
6.
Flyers took him to 7 games, which was a
The
feat.
one year, yeah, the one year,
87, I think it was.
the 87, 88, I think they took them to 7 games.
That was like an upset. And I mean, I know the Flyers didn't win, but that was like an upset in its
It was
own.
upset that it went 7 games because I mean,
Right.
you looked at the personnel. I mean, it was ridiculous that the Flyers could even play with them. But you got to give Mike Keenan a lot of credit for that team being able to compete against Edmonton like that. Because the first time the Flyers had played the Oilers in 84-85 in the Stanley Cup Finals, and Edmonton just murdered them. They beat them 4-1, and in game 5, which was the final game of the series, they beat them 8-3. But you watch them, you watch the Canadians. I think the difference, in watching all 3 of the teams, the one thing I took from it was the Canadians were the best defensive team.
Well, they had Dryden
by a mile. I mean, but it wasn't even just Dryden though. It was the whole team. The Canadians
helped a lot.
They had 9 Hall of Famers on their team. 9. When the Flyers lost 4 straight to the Canadians when Dryden got back from law school in 75-76, okay, that Canadian team had 9 Hall of Famers on it. Conuld
you imagine that happening in this day and age? Like,
no, it will never happen again.
I'm talking about the law school aspect. Like Connor McDavid quits hockey to go to law school.
Oh, for a couple of years. Yeah. Well, because don't forget the money wasn't the same back then. I mean, Ken Dryden was a strange kind of a guy. He was always one of those. He was a very smart guy, and he decided that if he was going to make more money as a lawyer, so he took a couple of years off, became a lawyer, and then went back to hockey again. And then, he picked up right where he left off. But that team, when he came back that first year, that team had 9 Hall of Famers. And I mean, they just it wasn't just the great offense that they had. They were so good defensively. It was very hard to score against them. And in addition to being a great defensive team, you had guys like Guy Lafleur and Steve Shutt, who scored 60 goals, and Jacques Lemaire, who had one of the hardest slap shots in the league, and Peter Mahovlich and Guy Lapointe, Serge Savard, Jacques Laperriere. Jesus Christ. I mean, it was that team was was just, and then Bob Gainey, who was the best defensive forward in the league. That team was impossible to beat. And then you go to the Islanders, who were very good but seemed to play best in the playoffs. And then Edmonton, who, as far as like when you talk about Hall of Famers, you have your Hall of Famers who are kind of on the bubble, and then you have Gretzky, who's like God in the end.
Especially in the late '80s with Edmonton.
You had Gretzky.
He was at his best,
and Yari Curry, and Glenn, and Paul Coffey, and Grant Fuhr. I mean, that's insane. And then you had guys like Mike Krushelnyski, who was a third-line center on that team. And Mike Krushelnyski, they got from Boston, was Boston's number 1 center.
I'm going to cut you off on your hockey, but my laptop is about to die, and we only got a few minutes left here. But I just wanted to talk about the 01 World Series.
Who have you been watching?
I've been watching baseball.
Okay.
I've been watching the 01 World Series. I got the 02 World Series. I got the 03. Both championship series went division games, but I wanted to outline, because the 01 World Series, it got the nation through a very tough time. And
yeah, it did.
9/11. And
I was actually at the game that Jeter.
Right. You talk about it a lot. You were at the Jeter game, right?
Yes.
Mr. November. What a great game to be at. I mean, I'm about to watch game 3 probably after the show here, but it's a shame we don't have sports right now to get us through this corona bullshit, because sports, this is what
it's what gets us through everything. And
sports rallied a nation. Baseball rallied a nation in 2001, and I know your team lost, but
it was a great World Series though. It was
the best World Series, and the underlying factors make it my favorite World Series of all time. I mean,
well, mine was when the Yankees beat the Mets, so
Right, that was 2000. I mean, that one wasn't even a contest. I think that was a sweep for the.
That was 5, but it was the Mets. So.
Yeah, it is 5, but the Mets didn't stay. I mean, the Yankees. I mean,
Yeah, it was beating the Mets. It just
got cheater, and I just watched the first 2 games, which
yeah.
were both in. They were both in Arizona, so the Yankees couldn't use their DH. And when they faced Schilling in game 1 and Johnson in game 2. I mean, if those 2 guys were on the mound, the Yankees weren't doing anything. But even as prolific as they were,
they did beat Schilling in game 5. Kurt Schilling pitched game. Which game did he pitch? Kurt Schilling pitched game 5. No, he pitched game 4 in New York, and the Yankees beat him. Yeah, he started that game.
See, because I thought he did 1 and 6, but I remember it. Yeah, because he
Randy, I think pitched game. Wait a minute. Did Kurt Schilling pitch game 7 of that series? I think he did.
Yes, he did.
It was
him and Clemens. It was him and Clemens in 7.
Right. I think he pitched on 3 days rest because I think he pitched game.
Right, because
I think he pitched 1, 4, and 7, and I think Johnson pitched 2 and 6, and then would have pitched game 7 if he had to. Because Johnson definitely pitched game 6.
Johnson came in relief in game 7.
Yeah, but he pitched game 6.
He did, and I remember the Yankees.
Pettit got murdered that game,
and Mussina got roughed up in game 1. But yeah, you're right, because Brenly took out Schilling. He had like 86 pitches. I mean, I'm going off memory. I'm gonna watch.
He took him out early. He took him out early.
He took him out after 7 innings with like less than 90 pitches, and he put in
because he wanted
Kim
because he was saving him for
2 innings.
Yeah, and young Kim gave it up, and he gave it up twice in a row.
2 nights in a row.
Yep.
But that was really a rich time for the World Series and postseason baseball, because 2002 you had a 7-game series between the Angels and the Giants.
That was a classic series, and that game 7. Weren't the Giants ahead 5-0 and the Angels came back and beat them?
I forget if it was game. I don't think that was game 7. I think that was game 6.
Game 6, okay. It was one of
the Angels. The Angels had the rally monkey come out every night.
Yeah, the Angels had the Giants had him, and then they let him get away. I think
the Angels,
it was game.
You roll into 2003. You had the Cubs and the Marlins go 7 games in the NLCS, and then you had the Yankees and the Red Sox. Aaron Boone hits the home run in the 2003.
Yeah, the Yankees unfortunately left it all on the field against Boston and didn't show up against Miami and lost that series, which was
then
to me.
The next year in 2004 was the Yankees blew the 3-0 lead to the
and the Red Sox won the championship.
And then the 2010 World Series was a classic. 2009 was Philly, New York. 2008 the Phillies won. And then you haven't really had a classic World
Series. 07 was that. 07 was Boston, right? Didn't Boston win in 07?
Yeah, but that wasn't a good
one. Boston. Boston
swept the Rockies.
Yeah, they came. Boston came. Cleveland had them 3-1, and then they came back and beat them 4-3.
Yeah, and I saw that coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Watch old games. I know some of our fam is Tommy and Ralphie and Greg, and they're all playing video games. I'm not a video game guy. I just feel like I've outgrown video games. I don't have a system to play video games on. I don't know. I'm just not a video game guy. But I'll be watching old games, and I'll be looking for recommendations on Facebook once I finish all these baseball games, because I don't think there's going to be sports for a while.
I would agree with you about that. I think it could be a while before you see it. I don't think you're going to see baseball until June. I don't see it.
If at all. I mean,
you know what? July, August, maybe that's possible that could happen. But I think in June, I think you'll see it in June, maybe the middle of June. It's going to be
the NBA is going to play.
Yeah, you're not going to see any more NBA. You're not going to see any more. You're not going to see any more NHL. I think that stuff is done.
Well,
I think
hockey's the most realistic spring championship that we're going to see, because I haven't heard anyone being infected from the NHL in terms of the coronavirus.
Ottawa, 2 guys.
Oh, really? Okay.
2 guys in Ottawa. So unfortunately, that's
So we're fucked.
we live in right now. Yep,
We're fucked.
unfortunately, you're not. I don't think you're going to see. I don't think you're going to see any NHL playoffs this year. I don't think you're going to see any NBA playoffs. I mean, it just.
I got my wish. The Sixers season's over.
Well, yeah, but I don't think you want to see it
Stink.
this way. I think you want to see it this way. It's too bad about the Flyers. They would have had a real interesting postseason. I think
They would have.
Yeah, they would have, and it would have been nice to see the Rangers come back and make the playoffs. I think they definitely had an opportunity to do that. But you know what? I think next year will be a lot of fun in the NHL for the Flyer fans, for Ranger fans. I think you're going to see a lot of. I think you're going to see a lot of torch passing next year because a lot of these younger teams are going to start taking over. You're going to see some of these old teams like the Penguins and the Capitals and some of those type teams are going to start going downhill.
All right, well, that'll put a bow on this edition of the Sports Hounds. Well, we're going to try and be back next Monday. Scrounge up, so maybe we'll talk about some old games. We'll live watch some old games. We'll talk about the history of sports. We'll figure out something for you guys to talk about because we're here for the fans, by the fans. We're here to get you through these tough times and have a release, even if it's for just a couple hours. I'm Rob. He's Brad. Thanks to Frank for producing the show. Till next Monday. Later. There he is. There's Frank. Good job, Frank.
Good job, Frank.
Thank you.
No small feat to get Brad held up on the live podcast.
Technology found a way, though.
Now, are you going to remember how to do this for next week? Or
Yep.
am I going to have to be on the phone with you